It became known what lay in the sarcophagus, and what scrambled out of it at night, though it didn't start manifesting right away. Oh no, for 7 years after the funeral there was peace. Then one night, it was a full moon. There were screams in the palace, shouting and commotion. The infant had grown in the coffin. And how? Grown to have incredible teeth. In a word, she became a Striga. Hello everyone, welcome to my Witcher Monsters Explained video, on one of the more horrifying and iconic monsters in the series, the Striga. In this video, I'm going to break down my examination into two parts: lore, where I break down the physical description, source, and in-universe examples of the creature, and beyond the lore, where I provide an examination of the out-of-universe aspects of the creature, such as themes, fan perception, and their importance in the narrative, and real-world mythological parallels. There's only one well-documented case of a Striga that we are aware of in the Witcher universe. I will first give a generalized description of what we can deduce about Striga in general, and we'll get into the specifics of the one Striga we do know about a little later. The Striga is a hulking, roughly humanoid creature with many beast-like attributes and disproportionate features. Covered in muscle, the Striga has incredibly enhanced strength and speed compared to a human of similar size, can run on all fours as well as stand upright. The Striga has an extremely hateful nature towards all living things, and emerges from its resting place with the sole goal of feasting upon the living. To help it in this are the Striga's impressive sharp teeth, prominent jaws, and claws capable of disemboweling and stripping flesh from its victims. The Striga only emerges at night, and returns to its resting place before daybreak, but seems emboldened to travel further from its resting place on nights with a full moon. Like many creatures, the Striga is sensitive to silver, and is intelligent enough to learn to avoid it once exposed to the metal. Strictly speaking, Strigas are still humans, albeit those under a curse. Specifically, they are cursed women. There are not a lot of details available about what a curse that creates a Striga involves, other than that the casting requires a tremendous amount of will from the caster to be effective. Curing a Striga involves spending the night in her resting place, which is no easy task while she is still alive, and although the curse that caused the Striga may be lifted, there is no guarantee that they will stay cured. The cured Striga must wear a sapphire, preferably one with a pocket of air inside it, called an inclusion, on a silver chain around her neck for the rest of her life, and it is recommended that juniper, broom, and aspen be burned in their fireplace every so often. Furthermore, the victim will be mentally underdeveloped for their age, and their body should be burned after death when the time comes. The Striga we see across the books, video games, and Netflix TV show are all based on a single person, Princess Ada the White, daughter of King Foltest of Temeria, and her representations are similar enough that I usually won't distinguish between the three adaptations in this video. In Striga form, Princess Ada was about 4 cubits tall, which is 6 feet or a little over 180 centimeters tall. This may not seem impressive, except when you factor in her enhanced musculature and, of course, that she was only 14 years old at the time of the story, and would continue to grow further into adulthood if given the chance. Another detail of this particular Striga is her mane of red hair, which she retains after being cured. Ada was cursed while still in the womb, and was entombed with her mother, as both were believed to have died during her birth. The source of Ada's transformation was also the source of much controversy, as it was widely known that King Foltest had an incestuous relationship with his sister. There was at least some belief that the incest itself caused her condition, but Geralt dismisses this almost right away, by claiming that a spell needs to be cast. Geralt does believe that the incest is the reason the curse was placed, but more on that later. When Geralt first becomes involved in the story, Ada has been active for around 7 years, having spent her first 7 years developing inside the tomb. Her emergence and continued hunting have caused the court of Temeria to abandon the palace and build a new one. Ada is reportedly killing up to 50 people a year now, usually criminals and those who are either brave or stupid enough to try to claim the substantial reward offered by the king for curing her. The king's 3,000 oren reward is not the only one available though, as several members of the court have put together their own secret 1,000 oren reward for killing the creature instead, wishing to put an end to the embarrassment, fear, and bloodshed the Striga is causing. And truthfully, they are right to be worried, as certain parties have been using the king's ineffectiveness against the Striga as a way to support deposing him. Foltest refuses to give up on his daughter though, and says that killing or harming the princess will result in the death penalty. Geralt accepts the contract and tells the king he will try to cure the princess but will not hesitate to defend himself. On the night of Geralt's attempt, Lord Ostrit of Novigrad attempts to bribe Geralt with a purse of 1,000 orens in order to leave and do nothing. Instead, Geralt knocks him out and brings him into the palace to use his bait, believing that Ostrit was the source of the curse. And indeed, Ostrit confesses that he loved Princess Ada and hated Foltest for taking her from him. But he tries to blame the curse on Foltest's mother, who couldn't stand the incestuous relationship either. It is left unclear who was ultimately responsible in the original story. The show and games seem to blame Ostrit. Ostrit is then released into the palace, where he is promptly killed by the Striga. Geralt's battle with the Striga is more difficult than anticipated, with the Striga being quite cunning and resistant to the Witcher's attempts to subdue it. Ultimately though, Geralt is able to keep the creature off balance and distracted by using a silver chain and the yard sign, and is able to keep it from attacking him directly using his silver sword. Although he is unable to incapacitate the creature completely on his own, Geralt is able to climb into the Striga's sarcophagus and close the cover before it can stop him. Using the Earden sign, Geralt seals himself in the tomb for the night, which means it will be impossible for the Striga to prevent itself from being cured. Sure enough, when Geralt wakes up and exits the tomb, the Striga has returned to the appearance of a 14-year-old girl. Unfortunately for Geralt, the transformation is not complete yet. As he inspects the princess, she attacks him with her concealed claws and wounds his face and neck grievously. Before he passes out from blood loss, Geralt returns the favor and bites her hard in the neck. The two of them lose consciousness, but are both rescued and ultimately recover. The Witcher's Striga shares a name and its rough description with the Striga, a creature in Polish folklore. There's not much that separates its real-world counterpart from other undead and demonic entities from the area, sharing many attributes with creatures such as vampires, banshees, and all sorts of other ghouls. But some notable differences are that Striga are usually female, may be born with developed teeth, may have 2 sets of teeth, one behind the other, 2 hearts, and 2 souls. This second soul remains in the body after death, causing the corpse to rise from the dead. The cures for a Striga will also sound familiar, and include burning the body, hammering stakes into the body, and exhuming and reburying the body with a priest performing a ceremony, among others. Thankfully, Andrej Sapkowski was able to breathe a little more life into the creature, and make it something his own when writing The Witcher. For many fans, the Striga's story acts as an introduction to the monsters in the world of The Witcher. The very first short story written in the series, which is also called The Witcher, is the story of Geralt's battle with the Striga. The Netflix show waits until the 3rd episode to introduce the creature, but its fight scene still stands as one of the most grueling and horrifying in the show's run so far. Geralt's confrontation with the Striga is also the opening cinematic of the very first game in the series by CD Projekt Red, setting the tone for all the events to come. And this seems appropriate, as this creature is the perfect example of the philosophy of the Witcher's monsters, demonstrating that the worst evils in the world don't usually happen naturally, but are created by greed, jealousy, and wickedness of people. And due to our complicated nature, the cause may not always be apparent. And that wraps up my breakdown of the Striga. If you enjoyed it, please leave me a like and subscribe for more content. If I missed something, or you would like to suggest other explanations for the future, please leave it in the comments below. This is the Laughing Storm, and I hope to see you next time.